What up, you know who this is, Styles P the Ghost, giving a shout out to my man, my dog. Make sure you tune in, feel what we are trying to do.
DWI Music.
Alright, I just heard that new exclusive joints. We back in the building. And this is this part of the show I've been waiting for, so we can talk this entrepreneur and the youth. And you know, those two things go together, and this brother right here, he's been co-signed by quite a few of my people. Shout out to Shantae, shout out to Money Lynn. So those two women right there really been a very instrumental part of my life and my career as far as helping me build. And now they gifted me with this interview. So welcome to the show, Alan.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right. Yeah, I see you got the entrepreneur shirt on, so you repping.
You
repping. All right, so let's get right into it. So who is Alan Perry? Like, what's your claim to fame when it comes to this journey that you're on?
My claim to fame? Yeah. I don't even know how to answer that.
Claim to fame. So, all right, where did it all begin for you? That's where we'll start at.
In Harlem. Yeah, all started in Harlem, and I've just been a curious person ever since.
Okay. So Harlem is real flashy and fast-paced and a lot going on. So what part of Harlem are you from?
Sugar Hill.
Sugar Hill?
Yeah, Sugar Hill, West Side.
West Side, okay.
But it started probably around the age of 10, 11 for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I fell in love with hip-hop.
Okay.
Yeah, hip-hop I was just fascinated with what could be done with words.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And
you remember your first song that you was intrigued by?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
It was Keith Murray's the most
beautiful thing in
yeah.
Wow. And that was a lot of wordplay.
Yeah.
For that to be, you must have been pretty lyrical as an artist.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
You did okay?
I did all right.
So what about Keith Murray's style and you know, charisma as an artist intrigued you?
The wordplay.
Yeah,
it was just, I didn't.
Was it the education? Because he's not a stupid guy. You know what I mean? He does some crazy stuff every now and again, but he's very intelligent. So was that? And back then he was really like sharp with the pen.
Right. You know, I've always been kind of a bookworm a little bit. Mm-hmm. So he was using words that I've never heard of before and rhyming them. And I'm just like, what is he talking about? Right. And yeah, that song and the Brat, Funktified.
That was some bars too.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that we grew up on was filled with a lot of messages, a lot of fun in the words, and a lot of realism as well too. And you coming from Harlem and being in New York during that time, everything after the crack epidemic was definitely something to be admired for, like in New York City, like us coming up within it, and a lot of things was going on, and we still found a way, right? So, all right, so hip hop was the fuel, which is the fuel of everything. I do podcasting, but I was a producer first, and then I was an engineer, and then I started my own brand, and then I started doing radio, and then I started doing podcasting, and then so we know everything has a beginning. So you came in with this book and this idea that you started with. How long have you been? Let's get into that. Let's get right into that. Hip hop for freshmen.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the journey.
And we need to show this too. Can I hold this?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, that's your copy too.
Oh, and I get a sign.
Yeah,
this is great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it.
So I spent my teenage years writing, recording in my room, and just working on my wordplay. Got to college, it was the same thing, but I was performing on and off campus. All that turned into spoken word poetry. And then my senior year, one of my best buddies at the time, he was like, yo, let's just come up with an invention and not work for anyone.
Right.
And that was a pivotal moment in my life because it changed my mindset to creation and entrepreneurship. And even though I didn't know what it was, and ownership and business. So senior year, all my buddies came to see me during graduation. Left a bunch of stuff, but mostly fitted hats. Mm-hmm. So I'm traveling back to the Bronx from Scranton, PA.
Okay.
You know what I mean? With all these fitted hats, end up crushing the hats, and then in that moment, I owe everybody $40, $50 for these hats, right? You know these hats are expensive.
Well, how'd you crush it? Did you get the car?
Because I had them in my suitcase.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Right.
Okay.
So in that moment, I'm like, why don't they have some type of cap case to protect these caps from bending while traveling? Mm-hmm. And that's what I invented. Okay. So I called up the company with the caveman on TV to invent help.
Yeah.
We still cool to this day. Actually, I spoke to him 2 months ago, and paid them about $1,500. They put together a booklet.
It's the fourth chat GTP people. Yeah,
Right. They put together a booklet, all the materials, and if it was someone tried to bring it to market before. But anyway, I took all that information, put it into a PowerPoint presentation. I pitched to Models, Wilson, Reebok. New Era was the company that expressed the most interest. One signed the NDA, and about 10 months later, I saw the cap case in the store. That was my first real life experience with intellectual property.
Right.
While all that was going on, I was working on Wall Street, and
In this area that we are now.
right up the street. Yeah, right up the street. And I just remember the week I got hired, a woman was retiring,
Okay.
and I just saw my life flash before my eyes, and I said, I'm gonna try to rap. So I'm performing that night, and
You remember what club?
Club Speed was my
Speed.
home. Club Speed was the home.
Who was the DJ down there at that time? Did Flex do Speed? He did Speed certain nights. But,
Certain nights, yeah.
but for the independent people, I'm trying to think of who was the promoter at that time at Speed. I don't know if it's my man Dante Ace. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm doing shows at Speed and other places in the city. I'm learning things about branding and copywriting. Here's that intellectual property thing again.
Yep.
And LLCs, and open a business bank account because I wanted to have my own label, and his taxes. And I'm just like, why didn't I learn all this in school?
Right. None of us did, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And just felt really dumb when it came to the real life, real world. So I started writing all this stuff down, and that's what you got there. Yeah, that's what you got there.
This is definitely a handbook to get your game on track, not your whip pushed back, as my man Big said. And I love graphic and informational type of books. Like, I like to read and I like to do workshop type things, events, but I also like it to be fun at the same time, especially when you're dealing with kids. So how'd you think about doing, a kids program? Is this a kids program? Are you working?
Well, it's for all ages. Originally, that manuscript that I was writing, it was for everybody. And then went back to school, got the master's in entertainment business, gave me the confidence to publish the book.
How long did you take to get your master's?
It was a 2-year program. I did it in 1 year.
1 year.
And then I went back again and got another master's in digital marketing, 2-year program, did it in 1 year. And that's what took my design to the next level.
Yeah,
I can
see.
the marketing and
Yeah,
everything to the next level.
This is amazing, man.
But altogether, the book took me initially like 7 years to write.
Okay.
Yeah, and then since then, just updating it every time information changes.
Now, what were you doing in between building this here? What was your way to make money? Like, what was your?
So I was a true entrepreneur, man. I did a lot of stuff, man.
Right.
I was, like I said, I was working 9 to 5 at one point. I had my real estate license, so I was doing the real estate thing in the city for a minute. I moved out to Miami. I was in Miami for 10 years. I started a cleaning company out there. I worked for several law firms in the city and out in Miami as well.
Okay.
Started a little party promoting company in Miami also. Just wherever my interest,
So I think with the definition of entrepreneur is get it however you live. Like, I think some people think if you have a 9 to 5 that you're not still an entrepreneur. That's just a way to make money. It's just it's a tool.
Right.
If you go into a 9 to 5, but you're doing it to build your shirt, your book, your podcast, or whatever the business is, that's fine, because you're just funding that other brand. For at some point, it won't need the help of the said job, and then you can do. And I don't think people get that from a lot of us entrepreneurs. They feel like, oh, I gotta not have a job to do what. It's the people that have the jobs and don't want to do what they love to do. That's the problem that I have, because now you're just doing something to make money, but it's not feeding your creativity that you have. And not everybody has it, so that's not everybody's problem. But
Right.
I think if you're a creative or entrepreneur that, like you say, you do several different things to get to it, I think that it's important that people understand, like what you just said. Because that's an important question to ask. Like, so in order to build this, like, what else, how did you make money before? Like, because a lot of people skip that part. They leave that out.
The job is my business partner.
Right.
Give me the money.
Yeah,
after the bills is paid and whatever.
It keeps the stress level low, so you can focus on the thing that you want to. Because if you working with stress and running a business,
it's impossible.
It's
impossible.
You have to be a gifted type of individual to really excel in that space.
Right.
So who did you connect with? Who you felt that you connect with along your travels that helped you get to the next level? Because that's going to be something else I want to ask too. Because I think people's collaborations go underrated sometimes about how far we get to our next level when we connected. So when you got to this point, before you got to the actual printed book, who was maybe one or two people that you connected with that really helped you boost that up?
Before I got to the book, to this version?
Before it was printed, like, what was that step that you probably met somebody and they put you on to maybe a printing company or a writer or a publisher?
So it was 2023. Shout out to my man Camille. Yeah, he works at Promise Academy. He's a teacher. Used to teach Black history, but he's held several roles there. Used to also was a dean there also.
Okay.
But he came to me the summer of 2023, I believe. Yeah, and he said, "Hey, there's this principal out in Jersey. I think it's Newark, and he has an issue with the kids in this district, the engagement." And he's like, maybe this is a good time to show, your curriculum. And at the time, it was it didn't look nothing like what it looked like.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
So do you have every
pages.
You have every stage of it? Like did you do like a little documentary of how it started? Maybe off a little sticky note, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger.
I got notebooks, tons of notebooks that I wrote everything in.
Okay.
But yeah, it was that conversation with him that made me turn what I originally had into that, which is I combined the handbook with the workbook and added the graphics and just made it something really much more fun and engaging.
All right, so in our final 5 minutes, I want to find out something about like lesson plans, tutorials, and assignments, because I was a teacher for the first time in 2023, and I didn't know nothing about writing a lesson plan, but I was teaching what I do, podcasting to the kids. So I was more there for the hands-on, but they always wanted me to write something down to explain, what's the objective and what the kids are. It was a structure. So how did you get that format to put inside the book, the structure?
I just want to make it easy for the teachers to administer, to facilitate. It's pretty straightforward. Like, a lesson plan doesn't have to be that complex. It's as simple as reading the subjects, the chapters, content, going over the tutorial, doing the assignment, following the to-do list, and taking the quiz at the end. And
you did a lot of education, so I would imagine all of that, writing reports and researching, help build those muscles where it made you easy to engage in creating your own.
Yeah, school kept me disciplined. That's the one thing I learned from school, just that discipline to sit down and do something to completion.
Right.
And right now I still work on Wall Street.
Okay.
I've been 7 years, about 8 years now, still up the block.
Okay.
And every time I go there, I'm like, I gotta get out of here.
Every time you go, you're ready to go. Every time I go, I'm ready to go.
I mean, I'm grateful, but I'm meant to step fully into this purpose here. So.
Okay, so let's give the promo information on what the purpose is now. Where can they pick it up? And if you need any support or you trying to get into schools, like what's that vision for that before we get out of here?
So we are working right now with Urban Assembly Performance in Harlem. We did some work at Brooklyn Law and Tech, Mashulu Montefiore. Shout out to Shantae. You know what I mean? The website, hiphopforfreshmen.com. The public can buy the book there themselves. But it's really meant for schools and youth organizations. So they can contact me directly or someone from the company directly or through the website. All the information is there. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm gonna carry this around. This is gonna be part of my package when I carry my equipment around, because I think people need to see this. I'm gonna have this as a prop at different places because I meet a lot of different. I teach in several schools and after school programs already, so I want to definitely push this in and see if I can get you to come in and be a guest speaker.
We can do that.
Talk about that.
Let's
Not
make
if
that
I know
happen.
that's something. I know it's a do, but I want to make sure that we get to that. And I'm actually gonna read this when my lady comes tonight. We're gonna go through this and go through it because we want to start our foundation where we helping young youth. She from Maryland, and she want to help the girls. I want to help the boys, and she does financial. She's an accountant, so she's good with that, as well as just female empowerment. And then I just want to do the podcast and then the male mentorship. So together we gonna come together with this hip hop for freshmen and make that happen.
Right.
You can guarantee that I'm gonna spin the block on this because we spoke to Shantae at her party. Happy birthday to Shantae again. Right. She gave us a pre-introduction last night. We're not gonna talk about that right now because today is a whole new day, and at the end of the day, the day gotta end. But thank you, Alan, for coming through. Thank you, Lynn, again for always sending me dope, influential, upstanding entrepreneurs and influencers to the show.
Shout out to Money Lynn.
Shout out
That's
to
right.
Money Lynn. All right. So we're gonna get into some more music. You already know what it is here. Party 101.9. We is out of here.